Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 minutes to go before this last junior bout of the Big O tournament. Seattle Derby Brats Galaxy girls against the I-5 roller girls. What is it, 1:30 in the afternoon? You can't get more enthused than that? Shall we do some lineups? Daddy-O, really quick? Go for it.
So, for the I-5 roller girls today, we got number 16, T-Pain, number 18, Lex Accelerator, number 19, TNT, number 21, Phoebe Sting, number 25, Serrated Blade, number 26, Maya Massacre, number 3, Lexi and I Know It, 31, Evil McNevil, 35, Hunter, 4 is Malice in Wonderland, number 5 is Keelbon, 52, Death by Beth, 55, Karmic Death, and number 9 is Audrey Hedburn.
And their opponents in white, the Seattle Derby Brats Galaxy girls. Number 0, Stella Mental. Number 5, Dislike Her. 26 is Maximum Glitter. 31, Spring Violence. 34, Pookie Poundia. 43, Juvenile. 52, Amelia Derhart. 60 is Assaulting Carmel. 72, Chop Ramen. 253, Misbehavin'. 411, Lil Fist Fight. 666, Evil O. 808, Flying Hawaiian. 909, Absolutely Daft. And number 1212, Rosie D. Creamher. As was mentioned at the end of the last bout, long-standing rivalry between these two Seattle teams.
I think it's fair to say these two teams have a little bit of history.
Just a touch. Oops, sorry. Just making sure I didn't miss somebody. A little bit of history for a few years. And have played at least once. I think they played at the Wild West Showdown this year earlier.
They did.
I-5 coming out ahead.
And of course, chances are they will meet at least one more time.
I think the chances are pretty good of that, yes. Looks like we're starting off with Lex Accelerator jamming for I-5 against Lil Fist Fight for Seattle Derby Brats. If you're joining us online through the live feed, thank you for signing in to track 3. If you're here in person, thank you even more, because we love people here in person.
And there's the whistle. The game is on. Lex Accelerator pushing to the inside. Lil Fist Fight trying to follow her through. Both of these walls very tough. Lex Accelerator tries for the outside. No joy there.
And both jammers going down at one point or another in that little scrum at the back of the pack as the whole pack pushes around. A Lil Fist Fight emerges on the inside. Lead jammer. Lex Accelerator taking a big shoulder from Dislike Her, but shrugging it off. Rolling outside on the inside line a little bit. Tiptoes along inside the line. Not lead jammer, but is clear of the pack. As Lil Fist Fight grabs her points and calls off the jam early 4-0 lead. Seattle Derby Brats Galaxy girls. I can't really just say Seattle because they're both from Seattle. So
exactly. Seattle rivalry here in Eugene, Oregon.
They had to travel 300 miles just to play each other. Assaulting Carmel, jamming for the Galaxy girls.
And Maya Massacre for I-5. Maya Massacre pushes right through the center of that pack, meets up with the 2-wall up front, push to the inside.
Stella Mental going reverse direction to shoulder her into the infield. But Maya Massacre back recycled out and fighting her way through. Meanwhile, Assaulting Carmel trapped at the back by a 4-wall of I-5 blockers, but able to shake it off and break free as well.
Maya Massacre and Assaulting Carmel very quick out of the pack. Neck and neck pretty much on the back of the pack, and Maya forced to call it off as her team had taken the back wall position.
Yep, couldn't sneak past anyone to pick that up. Figured better to call it off now. Lex Accelerator back up on the line, taking one jam off before coming back out. And she is against number 909, Absolutely Daft for the Galaxy girls. No penalties yet that I've noticed. And a bit of a slow start. Lex Accelerator starting around the outside, dodges between the two lines to the front. Absolutely Daft just choosing the I'm going to shove everyone forward as fast as I can, which is working fairly well as Lex Accelerator gets bumped to the outside, but then finds a wide open infield. Flying Hawaiian coming around the corner to give her a hip check out. Last line of defense. Accelerator called as lead jammer, as Hawaiian has to let her go.
Absolutely. Daft also threw on her initial pass. Accelerator, of course, on her scoring pass, meets up against that wall up front. Gets her hips around a couple. Picks up 2.
And this time she was far enough in front of the Galaxy Girls jammer that she was able to get through her line and pick up a couple of points. That takes us to 2-4 now. Galaxy Girls still with the lead, and they send a little fist fight back to the line against number 55, Karmic Death. Thank you, sir. I gotta love the I-5 fans because you guys are loud.
They really are. Karmic Death pushed to the infield. Little fist fight, fighting her way through the center of the pack. She's up front. Got the I-5 all to beat, and she does it. Lead jammer, Galaxy Girls.
Little fist fight breaking out. Second lead jammer in a row, and it's a power jam as Karmic Death picking up a penalty. This is our first penalty of the game. First power jam for the Galaxy Girls. Good chance to extend their lead a bit more. But I-5 putting up some heavy defense at the back of the pack as the Galaxy Girls opting for more of a passive move. Audrey Hedburn throwing a bit of a hip. But Little Fist Fight finally out, picking up the 5 points. And Fist Fight coming back in for her second pass, gets shouldered out, comes back, hits T-Pain chest to chest. T-Pain goes down. Fist Fight bounces off of it, and 5 more. As Karmic Death finally out of the box and back engaged with the pack.
Little Fist Fight able to pick up 10 on that power jam. Of course, the 30-second penalties really shorten those down.
They are making it much easier to do the penalty kill as well, as you don't have to fight them off for quite as long. And Fist Fight finally calls things off, picks up a couple more points. No points for I-5. That takes us to 16-2 with 25 minutes to go in the half, and I'm going to throw my neck out turning around to look at this scoreboard.
Don't worry, I'm sure if you do, we have medics right here.
That's true. They're right next to here. I can get some ice.
Right now on the track, we have number 52, Death by Beth, for the I-5 Roller Girls, and Misbehavin' for the Galaxy Girls. Starting up almost by the pivot line, about halfway between, is the pack. Misbehavin' caught on 3 in the back, having a little bit of trouble. But that Galaxy Girl tripod up front, holding back that jammer. Really powerful defense on both of these teams.
Very powerful. The nice Rosie DeCreamer juvenile sandwich action going on for Death by Beth. Took her down, but she shrugged it off and is back on her feet. More of a pile-up as Misbehavin' knocked to the outside, has to recycle back. Accelerator backing her all the way to the jammer line. And Flying Hawaiian working similarly, cycling her way back to try and slow things down as Death by Beth also knocked to the infield. Both jammers on their initial pass still.
Full minute in.
1 minute in. Had this in the Texas Philly bout earlier. Just heavy defense on the initial pass. And Juvenile being sent on the low block penalty. That will thin things out and make it slightly easier for Death by Beth.
Death by Beth trying to work up against Rosie DeCreamer. That's a really tough blocker to beat.
That is a tough blocker to beat. And Rosie and Flying Hawaiian both playing the skate backwards and throw the shoulder forward move very, very well. Misbehavin' fighting her way to the inside, trying to find a line on the inside lane, but Accelerator there in the pivot with the pivot stripe, throwing a shoulder, knocking her out, making her recycle back again. And finally, pushing to the front. Misbehavin' finally out of the pack as lead jammer. I-5 passes the pivot, the star off to the pivot. Misbehavin' tries to go for the apex jump, catches a little extra hip on the way by. And I don't believe any points for either team as we went the full 2 minutes, a minute 45 without a lead jammer.
We did, and then the star pass right there at the end by I-5, not even able to get the star in her head. Very strong defense on both teams on that jam.
Not able to, but Accelerator at least able to get out. We're seeing more of that passing right off the bat. And it looks like Misbehaving called with the penalty for making contact in the air or perhaps late. Either way, she will be sitting, and it is a power start for I-5 as their jammer, Maya Massacre, rolls through quickly and grabs lead jammer. 4 in the pack for each team. As Maya Massacre working her way around, finally works her way around Stella Mental and grabs the 5 points. I-5 lining up at the back of the pack, 4 wall across, 4 Galaxy girls in the front. Galaxy trying to work their way back. Evil O, the last line of defense. She misses the hip check and slides out of bounds herself. And Misbehaving back in the pack now on her initial pass. Coming off of that penalty. Goes for the hip check on Misbehaving. Misbehaving completely jukes her out of her skates. And she goes down hard out of bounds, but Misbehaving takes a shoulder to the infield as well and has to recycle. Finally breaks out, grabbing a third 5-point pass. Grand slam the hard way.
Maya Massacre with 2 5-point passes right in a row.
That she is, and Misbehaving also finally escaping the pack. Maya Massacre up at the front, pushing against Stella Mental. No pack called. And Stella picking up the out-of-play penalty. Starting contact too far away from the pack for her. So she will sit as time continues to tick on this jam. Maya Massacre content to just keep picking up the points as her defense doing a great job of holding back Misbehaving. Jamming for the Galaxy girls.
Maya Massacre with another grand slam for I-5. Finally calls off the jam, and that is a lead change.
Yes, indeed. 26 to count them up. 19, 20. All right, we stopped at 20. 26 to 20. I-5 now taking the lead. And I-5 will send Accelerator to the line against Assaulting Caramel for the Galaxy girls.
Not Caramel.
Not Caramel, Caramel. We live in Washington. And I think they say it Caramel in Oregon as well.
So Accelerator and Assaulting Caramel. Accelerator pushed to the infield just in front of turn 1. Assaulting Caramel pushing up against that 4 wall of I-5, getting a little bit of separation. Accelerator trying to build up speed. That's where she has her strength.
But heavy defense from the Galaxy girls. As Disliker takes some friendly fire from Rosie DeCreamer. Has to crawl off the track so as not to stop the jam. Rosie and the Galaxy girl defense trying to regroup as Accelerator whips through and picks up another 4 points. 3 in the pack right now for the Galaxy girls. 4 for the I-5 roller girls as Assaulting Caramel comes in, takes a big hip check from Lexi, and I know it. And that knocks her out and recycles her back. Meanwhile, at the front of the pack, Accelerator is through with 4 more points. T-Pain with another hip to slow down Assaulting Caramel. Accelerator, meanwhile, rolling past the outside of the wide open, now 2-skater pack for the Galaxy girls.
Penalties begin to build up a little bit for the Galaxy girls.
That they are. Only Stella Mental and Rosie DeCreamer on the track right now. And they've got a heavy job in front of her as Accelerator very agile and very quick. Lex re-enters, pushes Stella Mental to the point of the engagement zone where she has to let go. And another 5 points. Assaulting Caramel still trapped behind the wall of blue. And T-Pain again with some heavy hip. And as time runs out, 3 more. 3 points put up on the board by Assaulting Caramel at the end of the jam. And Galaxy girls calling a timeout. Timeout so that the medics can check on Disliker, who did take a pretty heavy shot from her teammate. Unintentional, of course. Case of wrong place at the wrong time. While we're here, let's mention the raffle. We've got $1 for one ticket, 6 tickets for $5, $10 for the length of your nose to your finger, or $20 for the height of a human being of your choice. I believe they have to be standing on the ground, though. You can't have them stand up in the stands and then drape it down.
Oh, okay.
Let's have a round of applause for Disliker. Hopefully she will be back in shortly.
So if you want to hear your shout out over the loudspeaker, not only that, but over the internet as well, shout outs are for sale at the Thrive vendor booth by the Big O merch booth. Only $1 to have a personal shout out over the loudspeaker. Go to the Thrive booth and fill out a note now.
And if you're the Philly Roller Girls, you'll buy 8 or 10 of those, all about the same person, because that happened earlier today. All right, officials gathering their information, making sure everything is lined up right. Reset the score, 53-27, I-5 in the lead, 17 minutes, 48 seconds to go in this first half. I-5 sending Phoebe Sting to the jammer line, up against Lil Fist Fight for the Galaxy Girls.
And of course, that was a team timeout taken by the Galaxy Girls that has now turned into an official timeout.
The officials didn't want to be left out of the timeout fun.
They do like to have their timeouts.
They
too.
got to have the timeout, and we got to have the gun show from the timer. That's right. Show off those arms. Oh, actually, while we have a pause, I've been asked to wish Stella Mental a very happy birthday. Stella Mental turning 18 on Wednesday. Everyone wish her a very happy birthday. Her sister's yelling for her.
And there's the whistle. We're going to start some roller derby. You're going to have Phoebe Sting for the I-5 Roller Girls and Lil Fist Fight for the Galaxy Girls. Phoebe Sting very quick to the outside. Lil Fist Fight right behind her. It's a race.
Phoebe Sting with the easier pass through the pack because there were only 2 Galaxy Girls blockers in front of her, but Lil Fist Fight following right behind her. It's like she jumped in her back pocket and just came out on the other side. Phoebe calls off the jam, and we reset with Maya Massacre up against Absolutely Daft, and still 2 blockers in the pack for the Galaxy Girls. As Flying Hawaiian and Juvenile will set up at the pivot line, forcing I-5 to roll their line forward as well.
There they go. Maya Massacre straight up through the middle, pushing on that 2-wall to the inside, trying to get that lead jammer status.
And she runs into Flying Hawaiian reversing direction and throwing some shoulders, and that allows Absolutely Daft to get a little bit of an advantage, but she does have those 4 blockers to beat. And beat them she does, stays on her feet, stays on her toes, stays in bounds, and is lead jammer. Maya Massacre finally released as the Galaxy Girls pack gets a little bit of relief with Maximum Glitter returning to the track. And Absolutely Daft flapping her arms, hoping to both take off and call off the jam. Manages to do so after picking up a few points, and that takes us to 53-31 now. I-5 lead. Coach Vito out on the track, so I'm guessing we'll get an official review of some sort. Coach Vito and Mean Coach Betty. Mean Coach Betty sporting a crown today, I believe having declared herself Queen of Roller Derby. Either that or she had breakfast at Burger King, one of the 2.
Entirely possible.
It's a very silvery crown, though, so I'm going to go with Queen of Roller Derby.
So did you know that the Big O is the first certified socially and environmentally responsible roller derby event as a green event We encourage everybody to please utilize the receptacles for composting and recycling.
I had heard that. And there's one guy cleaning out all those recycling and compost bins, and I think his name is Willie because they were shouting him out on track 1, and he's doing a great job.
Thank you, Willie.
Yes, and thank you, Emerald City Roller Girls, for doing the green thing. All right, officials are continuing to discuss. And while they do, I will mention our good friends at Bicoastal 101.5 KFLY. We would like to thank 101.5 KFly, Oregon's real rock, not to be confused with any unreal rock. And I will point out that I beat the guy on track 2 with that call out.
You win. We'd also like to thank some of our vendors. If you haven't had a chance to see the vendors over near track 1, go ahead and check them out. We've got Sweat Hog, Thrive, Zemo Rocks. Of course, Thrive where you can buy those shout-outs.
Yes. And Sweat Hog, where if you're a balled out of shape guy like me, you can get something to soak up all the sweat when you go to the gym. That's a picture everyone needed.
And I would like to point out that I beat that call out over on track 2.
See, they're just copying everything we do. They're like, oh, Scott Chicken and Daddy O are doing promos. We should do those too.
And there's the whistle. We had an official review, but it looks like we're not going to get to know what it was.
No, it looks like Flying Hawaiian is in the penalty box as the pivot, so maybe perhaps there was a no call or something that was assessed. In any case, we're back to Derby as Lexcelerator is accelerating around the outside, and she is through and is lead jammer. Assaulting Carmel, meanwhile, trying to work her way past the pack, and she also does, but about a 3/4 of a lap behind. As the thin pack for the Galaxy Girls continues, Stella Mental trying to stop Lexcelerator, but she's too quick and too agile to get to hold her up. 4 line at the back of the pack for I-5. Brings Assaulting Carmel to a halt. Pushes her a bit to the inside, but she is able to not quite go out of bounds. And Keelbahn holding her back. Finally, Assaulting Carmel breaks free, but Lexcelerator through with a 5-point grand slam. Catching up to Carmel as she hung up on the back of that pack. 4 on the track now for the Galaxy Girls. As Lexcelerator calls off the jam, but Assaulting Carmel able to sneak the hips past 2 skaters. 3-2 on that last pass. Now 65-37.
Just about halfway through the first half.
And a little fist fight back on the jammer line for the Galaxy Girls against Maya Massacre. And we have another timeout.
It's like we had an official timeout, so people were talking to the officials in the center of the track.
When they talk, they like to take time. Let's take time to talk. Keelbahn getting some clarification. Or actually, that was Karmic Death, I'm sorry. Saw the K, made the wrong jump. The K and the 5 threw me off. So once again, Maya Massacre against Little Fist Fight. Back and forth, side to side dancing from both jammers. Maya Massacre assisting her defense, giving Audrey Hedburn a little shove. And that pushes Little Fist Fight out. Maya Massacre starting off playing some defensive jamming, but Little Fist Fight around the outside, shakes off Lexi and I Know It and is lead jammer.
Nice moves by Little Fist Fight, keeping her feet around the outside of that pack.
Little Fist Fight, excellent footwork on that girl.
Now she's got a tough time around that four wall up front, but able to break it up. Lexi and I Know It with a little bit of defense there. Shrugs it off, keeps on going.
And gets a little booty whip shove ahead from Flying Hawaiian at the end to give her a little extra momentum to get out of the pack. And it's a power jam for the Galaxy girls. A good opportunity for them to narrow down this lead.
Maya Massacre called for a track cut.
Track cut, she will sit for 30 seconds. And 4 points thrown up on the board. 5 points now as the thumb does come out. Little Fist Fight was knocked out, but Lexi and I Know It did it illegally, and therefore she doesn't have to wait and cycle back. She breaks through the middle of the pack, a 2-pack for I-5. Gets the 5 points, calls off the jam. And the Galaxy girls will send Absolutely Daft for this power start after narrowing that lead down to 65-46.
Galaxy beginning to close that gap a little bit, using these power jams to their advantage. Maya Massacre starting in the box. So this will be a very short power jam for the Galaxy girls.
Short but effective, and hopefully with the slightly thin pack, now only 3 blockers on the track for I-5. Thins things down for Absolutely Daft. This Galaxy girls line moves to the front. 3 blockers trying valiantly to hold Absolutely Daft down as she dances and pushes forward with the feet. Finally finds an open lane on the outside, breaks through, is declared lead jammer, but takes a little slide into second base and is safe, but yet out of bounds and has to recycle back.
But it does look like she was able to pick up lead jammer before that happened.
That was very fortunate. Maya Massacre out of the box now and trapped behind the Galaxy girls defense. As Lexi and I Know It finally released from the box, so both packs now at full strength of 4. And Absolutely Daft calls off the jam, knowing that Maya Massacre had escaped the pack. And she was having a world of trouble with the face-to-face with Lex Accelerator there.
Lex Accelerator doing a great job of that backwards skating defense, throwing those shoulders in.
Yes, showing her double threat blocker / jammer strengths.
As you heard, we have Karmic Death.
Karmic Death on the line for I-5. Assaulting Carmel for Galaxy girls.
Karmic
Assaulting Carmel finds a nice line on the outside and is through for lead jammer. Sorry.
Very nicely done there. Karmic Death trying to work. Oh, a nice hit by a Flying Hawaiian there. Throws Karmic Death down. Has to recycle a little bit back in the pack. Still caught by that 4 wall of white. She's up against Rosie DeCreamer up front. Meanwhile, sneaking on by Assaulting Carmel on the inside, a grand slam.
And Flying Hawaiian throwing a little hip to Malice in Wonderland to slow her down, and that allowed Assaulting Carmel to break free. She rolls in, picks up a point or 2, calls off the jam. 3 points for the Galaxy girls, none for I-5 as Karmic Death not quite able to catch up. And that brings us to a 5-point game as the Galaxy girls continue to chip away at the lead. 10 minutes, 40 seconds to go in the half.
Nice move of the Galaxy girls. Jammer there, angling her hips, getting through that wall, a little bit of penetration, picking up the 3 points.
Yes, they are always good to get the angle right when you're trying to break through the middle. So you don't pick up the back block penalty, and you do pick up the points. Accelerator versus Lil Fist Fight. I don't know why that got stuck on my tongue, but it did. Accelerator threw on the inside first in his lead jammer. Fist Fight being washing machine about a bit in the pack. Audrey Hepburn giving her a shove to the inside, but she is finally able to shrug off that pack and break free. But Accelerator out of her scoring pass, having picked up her 4 points. And it's a foot race to get back to the pack.
Accelerator, of course, about a lap ahead, and now she is through the pack first, picking up another 4 points.
Accelerator, beautiful hop over a couple of legs on the inside line there. And finally, Little Fist Fight is out. Evil McNevel making one last run at her. Has to let her go. 4 points for Galaxy girls, but Accelerator breaks through as well and evens it up at 4. So an overall 5-point advantage, I believe, for I-5.
And we're down to a 9-point game. Now we got Maya Massacre for I-5 up against Absolutely Daft for the Galaxy Girls. Pack starting about halfway between the pivot line and the jammer line.
They can't quite commit to either line. Just go part way. Get a little bit of a run up, but not a full run up. Maya Massacre knocked to the inside, and that is misbehaving back and her up a ways. As Absolutely Daft pushing to the front, and she is through in his lead jammer. And she will only have 3 blockers to face in the pack as Hunter sent on a penalty. Absolutely Daft now engaged with the pack on her scoring pass. Maya Massacre still trying to break free for the first time. Rosie DeCreamer with some excellent reverse direction, slowing down and then throwing a hip. Flying Hawaiian comes back and returns with the sternum shot.
Meanwhile, Absolutely Daft able to break through for a grand slam.
Absolutely Daft picking up the and Absolutely Daft calls off the jam. Looks like Maya Massacre took that shoulder a little high, so we will wait for the medics to check her out. And take a moment to thank all of our medical volunteers, our EMTs and doctors and others. Without them, we couldn't do this. They've been taking very good care of everyone so far this weekend. And a round of applause for Maya Massacre. And she will sit for a few jams, but hopefully be back.
And that'll be the end of the official timeout. We're going to have Lex Accelerator jamming for I-5 up against Assaulting Carmel for the Galaxy Girls. Assaulting Carmel, oh, a huge hit. Just as it hits the back of the wall, Lex Accelerator trying to sneak around the outside of that wall. They close that off really well.
It's not a back block when you throw your butt out and knock someone else down. Lex Accelerator is through the pack, and his lead jammer, Assaulting Carmel, slips to the ground a bit, gets a shove from Juvenile from behind, and she is through. Out of the pack and on her scoring pass. 3 blockers on the track for Galaxy Girls, 4 for I-5. Lex Accelerator grabs some points, calls off the jam.
Looks like she got 2.
Looks like she got 2. I'm seeing too many fingers going up, and I'm forgetting which ref I'm looking at.
So we're still at only a 9-point game with about 7 minutes left in the first half.
And T-Pain will don the Jammer Star for the first time of the game against Lil Fist Fight. T-Pain stepping into the Jammer Star while Maya Massacre gets a 10-2.
T-Pain tries to sneak around Flying Hawaiian, nothing doing there.
Also tries to get around Rosie DeCreamer, nothing doing there either. And this allows Lil Fist Fight to pick up lead jammer, but also get knocked to the infield and have to recycle all the way to the back of the pack at the same time. So an advantage for lead jam, a disadvantage because she has to fight her way through the pack a second time, which she does. As Karmic Death sent on a penalty, that frees up a little space in the pack. Juvenile returning from the box. And the Lil Fist Fight busts through a gap in the line, calls off the jam. 4 points for Galaxy, 0 for I-5. And we're back to 5 points, if my math is correct.
It looks like we're going to have an official timeout. They have to look at the scoreboard, I think.
Could be timing, yes. And it's a different official gun show, though, since the timer is adjusting the timing. Now we get a referee showing off his arms. And let's mention LTD. If you happen to be from the Eugene area, this will apply to you. Thanks to LTD for supporting the Big O. You should check out the One Pass. $50 gets your kids access to Willamette Lane facilities and unlimited LTD rides all summer, which to me says $50 gets you daycare for the entire summer. Just drop the kids off there, come pick them up later.
Yes,
I'm not sure if that's what they're intending, but that's how I would interpret it.
Right. You can ride the bus all day, just get off here at the end.
There you go.
Awesome.
Absolutely daft jamming for the Galaxy girls against L'Accelerator for I-5. I-5 with a one skater pack disadvantage. Misbehaving, giving chase, but realizes she's way too far in front of the pack to engage in any sort of contact, has to let go. Meanwhile, Daft knocked to the outside and recycled all the way back to turn 2. L'Accelerator takes advantage, hops over the inside. 5 points for I-5. Daft bumped to the outside by Death by Beth, catches her own toe stop, trips and goes down, back up on the track. Now still struggling on her first pass. L'Accelerator on her second scoring pass now.
Karmic Death by Beth and Audrey Hedburn combining for some great defense in the back of the pack, holding her back.
Well, they are, and at the other end of the pack, Misbehaving, going chest to chest with L'Accelerator, and L'Accelerator just runs right over her. Sometimes tricky when you're rolling backwards and you don't get those toe stops down right. Easy to kick back over the top. And now absolutely daft passing off the star to Flying Hawaiian. First time Hawaiian has had the star on her chest. Hunter rather, trying to give her a shoulder, and Hawaiian gives shoulders as well as anyone else. Finally through the pack. Galaxy girls now on a scoring pass, but L'Accelerator on her fourth, perhaps? I lost count.
She scored a lot of points.
She did score a lot of points and got 2 more right at the end there. And that takes I-5 to 96 to 74, extending that lead now to 22 points with 4 minutes and 11 seconds to go.
So we're going to see Pookie Poundia jamming for the Galaxy girls against Phoebe Sting for I-5. A little bit of separation between the two packs. No pack because they have that one skater in the middle.
That's right, got Kielbon bridging the gap between the two sections of pack. And Pookie Poundia driving the legs, finally pivots around the outside. Now just trying to get by Kielbon as the rest of her defense tries to catch up. And Pookie is able to evade her and break through the pack and get lead jammer.
Galaxy girl defense waterfalling to the front, trying to keep Phoebe Sting back. Phoebe, nice footwork keeping inbounds, able to complete that initial pass. Pookie Poundia, of course, on her scoring pass, pushing her way through that blue defense. Finally calls off the jam.
Finally heeds Coach Betty jumping up and down, flapping her arms and hopping down the line, trying to get her attention. And she finally does.
Pookie able to pick up all 4 points.
And as we reset, we've got Karmic Death on the line for I-5 against Lil Fist Fight for the Galaxy girls. And a late pivot stripe rolling into Rosie DeCreamer's helmet. As Lil Fist Fight pushing to the front of the pack against her 4 wall of I-5. Karmic Death struggling with the 4 wall of Galaxy girls towards the back. Fist Fight actually escapes the back first, although Karmic Death right behind her and snuck about in front and forces the call off. Well struggled through the pack by both jammers. Almost simultaneous. I couldn't tell who they were going to call. Which is why I'm not a ref, because then I would have known that.
Well, you'd also be down there and wearing stripes.
That's very true.
You don't want me in stripes.
I don't want to be in stripes either. No one needs to see that. Phoebe Sting jamming for I-5 against Assaulting Carmel for the Galaxy girls.
Assaulting Carmel, great move to the outside, lead jammer.
I-5 with the micro pack of 2 blockers. While 4 on the track for the Galaxy girls, and Phoebe Sting running into those 4 at the front. Flying Hawaiian directing traffic at the front edge of the pack. Hip checks Phoebe Sting out. She has to back all the way back behind Juvenile. Now Hawaiian giving Juvenile a little bit of a shove here and there, directing her into the way, and again whipping those hips around on the inside to knock Phoebe Sting out, while Assaulting Carmel sneaks around the inside and picks up 5 points. Carmel rolling in again, takes a hip to the outside. Recycled back, taking more time this time to line up the attack range, the assault range, you might expect. And finally, has had enough of this, calls off the jam. 4 more points for Galaxy.
And another 9-point game.
Galaxy doing a good job of keeping it close, chipping away. They give up a bit of a lead, and then they fight their way back.
And as we're winding down to the end of the first half, probably get one more jam in. Maya Massacre.
And Absolutely Daft. Again, 4-on-3 in the pack. I-5 with a 1 skater disadvantage.
Absolutely Daft working on that wall in back. Maya Massacre tried for the inside line, but got pushed out. Not able to make it.
Nope, good to see that Maya Massacre is back in the game, however, after taking that heavy hit a few jams ago. And with a nice dance over Maximum Glitter's leg. And then falls down and has a pile up with her own player as they're playing a little twister at the jammer line. I believe that was right-hand green was what was called at the end. Absolute Daft is through and is your lead jammer. Maya Massacre having finally untangled herself, takes a shoulder from Rosie DeCreamer, but manages to keep her legs in bounds. And more importantly, her skates in bounds. Daft breaks into the pack. Here's the call from her bench, calls off the jam. 4 points, Galaxy, 0 points, I-5. And at the half, we're back to a 5-point game, 96-91.
Great first half. We'll be back in 10.
Yes. See what it looks like.
So welcome back for the second half of Galaxy Girls versus I-5.
Recapping the score, 96 I-5, 91 Seattle Derby Reds Galaxy Girls. Surprisingly, 30 minutes to go in the game. All right, that's not surprising at all.
Not surprising at all.
Not really surprising in the least. Hey, Disliker is back on the track. Good to see her back, and Maya Massacre, both of whom took some heavy shots in the first half, and both back. We'll also give a shout out to I-5's Destroyer, who took a monster hit yesterday in the Portland game, and according to Coach Vito, had someone land on her head, and that's never a good thing. So she is not skating today, but we hope she gets better soon. I would not want anyone landing on my head. That could be because I'm not wearing a helmet, though.
Lexi and I know it. Little Fist Fight are your jammers as that whistle blows. Little Fist Fight tries to push to the outside, angles inside, not able to get through there either. Lexi and I know it having trouble up front against Flying Hawaiian, has to recycle to the back as she's pushed out of bounds.
Flying Hawaiian doing a great job with the reverse hip shot and then using that angle to barrel back to the back of the pack. Little Fist Fight through for lead jammer. And Lexi and I know it again, running up against the 3-wall defense of Rosie DeCreamer, Juvenile, and Flying Hawaiian. And Flying Hawaiian again reverses direction, hooks her hip to her hip, pops her out of bounds and backs her up. And meanwhile, Little Fist Fight checked out. Skater that knocked her went out of bounds as well, so she doesn't have to wait for her. Finally breaks out and picks up all 5 points. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a tie game.
Lexi and I know it, of course, still stuck in the pack on her initial pass. A little fist fight. Goes in for another scoring pass. Runs hard into that back wall.
And Lexi and I know it passing off the star to Karmic Death, the pivot. See if she has any luck against this heavy defense from the Galaxy girls. And she possibly, thanks to her slightly longer legs, rolls it up, but then flying Hawaiian out of nowhere hits her and a little too far ahead. A little bit out of play, but it is enough to stop her and slow her down, and that allows a little fist fight, who is also being sent on a penalty for a track cut. So Power Jam I-5, not what the Galaxy girls were hoping to happen. And all the defensive pressure falls on Juvenile and Rosie Creamer as they stretch the pack out, just like her working as the bridge in between. And time finally runs out on the jam.
Karmic Death was able to break through the pack on that initial path finally, but only had about 10 seconds to get around the track.
That is some strong defense. 96-102, Derby Brats with the lead. But Lexcelerator on the jammer line for the power start for I-5.
She'll probably have about 20 seconds of power jam, but it's Lexcelerator.
20 or so, having a little brief official timeout while we wait for Android to get back out. Gotta have the jam ref on the track or you can't count points. Of course, since his jammer is in the penalty box, I suppose that he gets a little bit of a break. Just a little bit of a break.
Lexcelerator builds up speed before that pivot line and smoothly around the outside picks up lead jammer status.
And I-5 playing the passive offense, lining up on both sides of the track, waiting for their jammer to arrive. Arrive she does. Galaxy Girls defense trying to throw her out of the line, but Lexcelerator too low and too agile. Spins around, picks up the 5 points. And
so Lexcelerator had time to get her initial pass and 5 points on that power jam. Now both jammers back on the track.
And a little fist fight finally out of the pack and now struggling with the back four wall of I-5 defenders. Trying to find a gap. Stella Mental trying to open something up for her, nothing doing. Meanwhile, Lexcelerator running right up to the back of Evil O. And Flying Hawaiian out of the box as well, bringing that defense back to full strength for the Galaxy Girls in their great kind of general on the field. Flying Hawaiian excellent at directing the flow of the defense around her.
So Lexcelerator with some great scoring on that jam takes it back to a 9-point I-5 lead.
So another lead change. I-5 now up. Assaulting Carmel on the jammer line for the Galaxy Girls against Maya Massacre.
5-on-5 roller derby.
Just the way we like it. Maya Massacre finds a gap in her line on the outside because they're willing to let her through. She's got the right colored shirt. Meanwhile, Assaulting Carmel not having any luck because white is not blue. At the front of the pack, Maya Massacre declared lead jammer, but still caught by Rosie Creamer. Flying Hawaiian, however, picking up a penalty, will return to the penalty box as Maya Massacre checked to the infield. Assaulting Carmel checked to the outside. Serrated Blade backing her up as well, as far back as she can, as T-Pain bridges. And Maya Massacre finally back out, still on her initial pass, even though she had cleared the pack. She did have to recycle. Assaulting Carmel hip checked into the air and into the infield. Recycles again, once again going up against T-Pain. And I think that's Phoebe Sting as well, holding court in the back of the line. Maya Massacre through 5 points, I-5. Finally, Assaulting Carmel finding a little space, but Hunter there to shut that space down. As the pack stretches out, Galaxy Girls trying to slow things down.
Flying Hawaiian with a nice hip check through his Maya Massacre to the infield, has to recycle all the way back.
That she is, and Maya Massacre says, oh, Carmel's coming up. I'm going to call off the jam. We'll just slow that down. So 5 points total for I-5 there, 115 to 101 now. Absolutely Daft back on the line against L'Accelerator. And big news after this bout, head over to the merch counter because Big O merch is $5 off. You got men's and women's t-shirts and sweatshirts. I bought a t-shirt yesterday for full price.
Nice. Maybe you should have waited.
Had I known they would cut the price, I might have. Huge shoulder thrown by Misbehavin', but L'Accelerator takes the hit, slides, gets back into her feet, and keeps going. Like the Energizer Bunny. Only she's a different skater and no longer on this team. Absolutely Daft getting beat to the outside, managing to stay in bounds, but still continuing to get hit and stuck at the back of the pack. Still not emerged yet on her initial pass. L'Accelerator rolling through on her scoring pass, 5 points there. As that I-5 defense continuing to dominate Absolutely Daft on this particular jam.
L'Accelerator had to slow down with that four wall of white up front. Finally makes her way through for another grand slam, 5 points.
And the I-5 pack starting to thin out as Evil McNeil sent out on a penalty. Absolutely Daft finally breaking free and able to escape the pack. That is her first pass. L'Accelerator on her second or third scoring pass, I believe.
Third, yes. And
Is
she will
stuck
complete
behind.
that third scoring pass.
Yep. Stella Metal throws out a hip. Not quite enough. Lex picks up 5 more points. 15 total for I-5, extending them out to 130 to 101. And Pookie Poundya now jamming for the Galaxy Girls against Phoebe Sting for I-5. 3-on-4 pack advantage.
Flying Hawaiian throws Jammer's stare down, but immediately throws that shoulder in as the whistle blows.
I think she just likes looking someone in the eye while she's hitting them. It helps you line it up nicely, I'm sure. Both packs at full strength now. Pookie Poundya finally escaping out the front of the pack. She is lead jammer. Rosie DeCreamer trying to direct Flying Hawaiian into Phoebe Sting, but doesn't quite get it done right. So Phoebe is out, not lead jammer. Pookie picks up the points, calls off the jam. And that is 4 on the board for the Derby Brats, bringing it down to 25-point lead now, 130 to 105.
Looks like I-5 really tightening down on that jammer rotation. L'Accelerator putting the star on her head just about every other jam.
She was doing that to start the game as well, and now they're bringing it back. Little fist fight jamming for the Galaxy Girls. L'Accelerator pushing towards the middle. Finds a gap wide enough to squeeze through, and she is out and is your lead jammer. Meanwhile, Little Fist Fight trapped at the back. Shrugs off a couple of hits, but L'Accelerator putting on the power, rolling through the corner. Stella Mental trying to slow her down, not quite able to. Swings past Evil O. And she is through for another 5-point grand slam. Meanwhile, at the back, Little Fist Fight. Shoulder to the infield by Death by Beth, and Death by Beth recycles her well back. Again, Fist Fight almost out, but stumbles to the ground. Slides to the outside.
Looks like she took a bit of a hard hit from Hunter as they both went down together.
Took a bit of a hit and a rolling up over the back of the leg. That's never pleasant, but she is back on her feet and she is back in the pack. Trying to juke through. Meanwhile, Accelerator rolling through clean again. Another 5-point pass. And finally, Little Fist Fight shrugs off that last shoulder and escapes out of the front of the pack. L'Accelerator now one skater to beat. Jukes around the outside of Stella Mental. Calls off the jam. 5 more points. Extending I-5 up to 150 now, sorry. I should wait for the numbers to stop changing before I read the score, shouldn't I?
Little fist fight with a great effort trying to get her hips around just as that fourth whistle was going, but she didn't get awarded at that point.
Yes. Now, this announcement doesn't pertain to the teams on the track, but if there happen to be any captains of WFTDA teams, please bring your MVP votes to the admin table as soon as possible, and you can get the forms from the admin table at track 1.
Meanwhile, Maya Massacre jamming for I-5 Assaulting Carmel. For Galaxy Girls Assaulting Carmel up front, she is your lead jammer.
Salty Carmel grabbing the first lead jammer for Galaxy Girls in a few jams straight. I-5 had been dominating that for a while. But Carmel, one of the more agile of the Galaxy Girls jammers, breaks through, grabs 5 points as she laps Maya Massacre. And Disliker and Flying Hawaiian doing a little dance routine. And Assaulting Carmel with a lovely pirouette to continue the dance theme around the outside. Picks up her points, calls off the jam, 4 more, a 9-point total for the Galaxy Girls. And we will reset with Lexcelerator having taken once again a 1 jam or little rest for 90 seconds or so, is back on the jammer line against Pookie Poundya. One skater advantage in the back for the Galaxy Girls. Pookie Poundya trying to find some space on the outside. Lexcelerator on the inside. Juvenile holding her down, trying to keep her back. Juvenile looking over one shoulder. Lexcelerator dodges around the other side. Now at the front, 3 skaters to beat as exited the engagement zone. Declared lead jammer, and Stella Mental maintaining contact a little too far. And that will bring us down to a 3-on-4 I-5 pack advantage as Pookie Poundya finally shakes off Lexi, and I know it, and escapes the pack. Lexcelerator opting not to call off the jam this time as Pookie Poundya is engaged with the pack on her scoring pass. And Lex slides through, takes a big hit from Misbehavin', who then does manage to back her up this time.
I was just about to say, Lexcelerator, once she gets that feet going, timing those hips becomes more and more difficult. Misbehaving, able to lay one in on that pass.
Misbehavin' timed that out perfectly, and that is a very difficult. Getting those angles right, as we saw earlier. Sometimes you miss by just a little bit. So Pookie able to pick up a couple. Now 157 to 118 with 16 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the game here. As the I-5 Roller Girls in blue taking on the Seattle Derby Brats Galaxy Girls in white. Maya Massacre hearing some love from her Derby fans on the jammer line. Lil fist fight for the Galaxy Girls.
Lil fist fight tries to get her hips through that line, but pushed back. Now both jammers in about the middle of the pack. And a cut track call, so Lil fist fight's going to have a power jam.
Power jam for the Galaxy Girls, and good time. Rosita Creamer trying to clear things out for her jammer. Manages to knock one blocker out of the way, and that allows the Galaxy Girls to try and set up a bit of a trap, and it frees Lil Fist Fight to become lead jammer. Galaxy Girls now playing the slow down passive offense. Fist Fight tries to find a gap between Hunter and T-Pain. Finally manages to crawl her way through. 5 points for the Galaxy Girls. Galaxy Girls trapping Keelbond at the back. But Hunter and Malice in Wonderland and T-Pain doing a fine job of at the front. Finally shrug Lil Fist Fight out of bounds. She dances on the toe stops. Breaks back out and sneaks past Hunter for another 5. Just as Maya Massacre released from the penalty box. And Maya shrugs past Flying Hawaiian. Lil Fist Fight dances along, slides that line perfectly. One skate up. Feet are in bounds.
And it looks like we're going to have Betty out there with an official review.
Mean Coach Betty loves her some official reviews.
At least I think that's what happens when she goes out there holding up her hands as an O.
That's a good indicator when she's making the signal for the referees. Hey, I'll mention again, $5 off the Big O merch. Men's and women's T-shirts and sweatshirts. They, at least yesterday, had both black T-shirts and, no, they had gray and white, I think. And nice big puffy gray sweatshirts. $5 off all your merch. Head over to that merch zone. And let's see, how about Aaron's? Special thanks to Aaron's. Aaron's lease-to-own furniture and appliance. Thanks to them, we are streaming track 1 in the Wild Duck Cafe right next door, which is an excellent thing, I gotta say. I went over there yesterday when I was trying to get in to see Texas versus Portland. The place was packed, I'm short. And then I noticed, hey, there's a TV and a chair. I can pretend I'm at home.
Nice.
So thanks to Aaron for that.
And I would like to thank all of the approximately 300 volunteers who helped make this happen today. So a big round of applause, please, for the volunteers. Without them, this event would not run.
Yes, all the people in the green shirt, like her over there fixing the track, and that guy carrying a water bottle. I don't think that's his official volunteer job, carrying that water bottle, but he's doing a great job of it. Well, mean Coach Betty shaking her head off, so I'm guessing that the official review was not carried through. Karmic Death on the jammer line against Absolutely Daft for the Galaxy girls.
Karmic Death, Absolutely Daft are your jammers. Both of them hit the back walls, begin pushing their way through on what has become the ubiquitous scrum start.
It is a scrum start. Scrumming on wheels. But it looks like Absolutely Daft may almost had a free line, but not quite, as Audrey Hepburn was there just enough to get in her way, and that allowed Accelerator to also roll in the pivot position. And Karmic Death trying to sneak by, misbehaving, giving her a hip, then backing up, not realizing she'd gone out of bounds as well, so that didn't really matter. And Misbehaving comes in with a late hit just inside the engagement zone, but Karmic Death is free and is your lead jammer. Excellent defensive recovery by I-5 there, as Absolutely Daft almost broke free. Slowed her down just enough to let the rest of the pack catch up. And Karmic Death engages, taps the hips, calls off the jam. 3 points for I-5 to 0 for the Galaxy girls. And that rolls us to 160 to 128.
Yes, it will, as we now have Phoebe Sting for I-5 and Assaulting Carmel for the Galaxy girls.
Both backs at full strength.
Yes, they are.
And both jammers plowing into the pile, and Flying Hawaiian throwing out a hip, backing up Phoebe Sting. And Juvenile there to give her another shot, but not quite enough to get her out. And this allows Absolutely Carmel to assaulting her way out of the pack.
Phoebe Sting eventually make her way around to the outside of the wall of white, completing her initial pass. But Assaulting Carmel gets through on her scoring pass and calls it off.
Assaulting Carmel with a nice wide open line, as the defense for the Galaxy girls had managed to corral all of the I-5 blockers to the inside. Excellent trapping maneuver. Shove them into the infield. Once again, we reset with Accelerator jamming against Lil Fistfight. And the penalty box still empty, as Accelerator starting up the outside, Fistfight going to the in. Fistfight takes a hip to the infield and has to recycle back as T-Pain backs her up well behind the jammer line. And that allows Lex Accelerator to break free out the front and pick up lead Jammer.
Lex Accelerator exhibiting some great footwork there in turn one as she was just about pushed out of bounds, but a little hop kept both of her skates in and able to go.
This time she takes a bit of a hip check from Stella Mental, pivots around, gets the foot out of bounds, realizes she's not going to be able to come back in and continue, so she calls off the jam. 3 points for I-5, 163 to 132 now for the Galaxy girls, as it would appear that Little Fist Fight managed to grab some points. Or else they were in the last jam and I didn't notice. Maya Massacre and Flying Hawaiian having the jammer line stare down as Pookie Panya stands beside.
Maya Massacre slowed down a little bit by Flying Hawaiian, but not much, and she is through for your lead jammer.
And she gives a hip back to Flying Hawaiian and sends her on her keister and out of bounds. Meanwhile, Daft passes off the star to Flying Hawaiian, and Hawaiian breaks her way out of the pack. Meanwhile, Maya Massacre hip check to the outside by Pookie Poundya. Pookie Poundya, who I believe I just called absolutely daft.
Maya awarded 5 points on that pass, 1 for the jammer.
And we're back where we were 2 jams ago with a little fist fight jamming against Lex Accelerator. And the pack again lining up about halfway, and then Galaxy girls roll up to the front to line up just short of the pivot line. Lex Accelerator dodges around the outside of her wall of blue. Little fist fight, meanwhile, struggling through them, and Lex Accelerator shrugs off Juvenile and is out as lead jammer. And fist fight escaping the pack about 3/4 of a lap behind. Galaxy girls again lining up at the front. I-5 at the back.
Lex Accelerator sneaks her hips around, calls off the jam, picks up all 4 points.
That she does. Started the call off while she was on the other side of a player, and I don't think the jam ref noticed, but it all worked out. Flying Hawaiian now on the jammer line. First time she's started a jam as the jammer. Up against number 55, Karmic Death from I-5.
Flying Hawaiian has had a little bit of success on those star passes, so maybe they decided to give it to her at the beginning.
What the heck? 172, 132, 40-point I-5 lead. 9 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the game. Hawaiian starting to the outside, then cuts back across the middle. Karmic Death also goes to the middle and shrugs off a hip check from Disliker, and she is out of the pack and is lead jammer.
Flying Hawaiian completes her initial pass, not far behind.
Again, I-5 taking their familiar position of lining up at the back of the pack with Galaxy girls towards the front. Karmic Death does a little bit of a slalom maneuver through, calls off the jam. She grabs 4 to 3 points for Hawaiian, so a 1-point advantage for I-5.
That'll bring it to 176, 135. Just under 9 minutes to go.
And once again, Assaulting Carmel versus Maya Massacre on the jammer line, and the jammer or the pack lining up right up against them. And almost had 2 pivots, but Coach Vito noticed that. And now we only have 1, and Assaulting Carmel is up there against that one, T-Pain, who throws the shoulder forward, and that lets Maya Massacre break out on the inside, and she is your lead jammer. Assaulting Carmel, meanwhile, recycled well to the back, hops over the outside, but drags a toe on the jump and lands back in bounds, and that is cutting the track. Assaulting Carmel will sit for 30 seconds. Powered jam, T-Pain, or for Maya Massacre, rather. And the I-5 Roller Girls. Maya Massacre bumped to the inside, has to recycle, and she picks up a cut track penalty as well, so we will have a jammer swap out.
Of course, with the 30-second penalty, she might be up and gone before the penalty is actually there.
She might be. It will be less than 30 seconds, but not by much. as the Salty Caramel already standing when she got there. And the Salty Caramel rolls around the outside, finally jukes to the end, gets around Evil McNevel. That is her initial pass. So we will continue for the full 33 seconds left in this jam as we have no lead jammer. No back is called. They have to let her go. And 5 points for Salty Caramel as Maya Massacre is released from the box, comes back in. Stella Mental slowing her down as much as she can as the pack again picks up pace. I-5 working to hold the Salty Caramel back, managed to shove her to the outfield. Maya Massacre racing to catch back up to the pack, not able to do so before time runs out. And we sit at 181 to 140 with 6 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Read that.
So it looks like we're going to have Phoebe Sting and Lil Fist Fight on this jam. And the jam is called immediately.
While we're discussing things with Android and the referees, let's mention the Cowfish. Cowfish Dance Club and Lounge at 62 West Broadway. They've got great cocktails, daily drink specials, and I'm assuming dancing because they are a dance club, and they are one of our sponsors. So thanks to the Cowfish. I also like the fact that their name is the Cowfish.
And if you've really enjoyed yourself here at the Big O, the dates for next year's Big O are already set. Get them in your calendars right now. Pull out your phones, put them in. May 1st through 3rd, 2015.
Surprisingly, the same weekend, just a day earlier. Calendars are cool. And we'll mention a couple other vendors that are out in Vendor Alley. Hurry up before they all shut down. I'm assuming they will be hopefully open, most of them, through the rest of the afternoon. We've got Pretty Little Tragic. Pivot Star is over there. And they'll let you test their gear to make sure that it really is as Velcro unfriendly as they say. Also, we got people from Rydell and Roller Doll and Skate Geek.
Lex Elevator starting all by herself on the jammer line.
Salty Caramel sitting in the box. And a thin pack, 3 skaters. As the power start and passive offense combo works to I-5's advantage. Accelerator returns. 3 Galaxy of Girl blockers move to the back of the pack, leaving Rosie DeCreamer at the front, but Accelerator able to dance around her.
Now Salty Caramel out of the box, able to start her initial pass. As that four-wall passes off the star.
She hands it
flying under that new rule, able to escape the pack with the star in her hand.
Yes. And with the new rules, can't escape the pack, just holding on to the star, and that's still okay. That way she doesn't have to fight someone off while she's putting it on her head, and she fights off several people on the inside and grabs 4 quick points. Accelerator, meanwhile, content to let the clock run and continue picking up some points, grabs a couple more, calls off the jam before Flying Hawaiian can get back. 3 more on the board for I-5. Make that 4 more. As Booker comes over with a correction.
And now we're back to 5-on-5 roller derby with Phoebe Sting and Lil Fist Fight as your jammers.
And Mean Coach Petty again visiting the referees, along with, I don't believe he's Mean Coach Vito. I don't know. I haven't seen the back of his shirt. I think it just says Coach Vito. Large push to the front. Little Fist Fight shaken into the infield. Has to recycle well back. And at the front Elemental and Misbehaving. Trying to control Phoebe Sting, but not able to. She is free and is your lead jammer. Little fist fight looking for some space on the outside. Nothing doing. Trying to cut back to the inside. Again, nothing doing. Dodges around the jam ref on the infield. And Maximum Glitter knocking Phoebe Sting out to the outside and backing her well up. Little fist fight finally through and being chased down now by Phoebe Sting as the packs regroup. 3 on the track right now for the Galaxy Girls as Juvenile was in the box. Juvenile released, but a back block called on Lil Fist Fight and also on Phoebe Sting. It's a jammer race to the penalty box. Fist Fight made it there a second earlier, I think. So the second shortest jammer swap out of all time. But it wasn't quite simultaneous, but it was pretty close.
The end effect, nobody can call it off for the next 30 seconds.
That's a quality effect. Certainly works to I-5's advantage as they are ahead. And Little Fist Fight taking a heavy hip, slow to get up, but is back on her feet, reassessing, backing up to get a little room to dodge. Meanwhile, Phoebe Sting slows it down, dodges around the outside of Misbehaving and grabs 4 more points. Fist Fight also finally able to shrug her way past Serrated Blade and escape the pack. 4 points for the Galaxy Girls as well. Phoebe Sting, huge shoulder for Misbehaving just as the whistles blow. But she did pick up the 4 points before she got hit. And that takes us to 2:08 as I-5 rolls over the 200 point to 148. Galaxy Girls just over 2 minutes to go. And Flying Hawaiian donning the Jammer Star against L'Accelerator. Pack lining up at the pivot line. Galaxy Girls in the front. I-5 Roller Girls in blue at the back. L'Accelerator cuts through on the Flying Hawaiian. Follows in her slipstream, breaks through before they can close the wall back up, and she is your lead jammer. L'Accelerator, meanwhile, being chased down by Rosie DeCreamer. Rosie able to get low enough that the shoulder impacts the right zone. And just enough within play. Flying Hawaiian grabs 4 points. As the Galaxy Girls defense recycling, regrouping, trying to slow down. L'Accelerator finally does. Hawaiian with a beautiful hop. Pivot, turn, land backwards, call off the jam. 4 points for her on that pass.
And 4 points for L'Accelerator as well.
That's true, but I think that Hawaiian was at least 1 lap ahead, and it's always nice to be able to jump past the entire line. You get them all at once with the little hop, and the turnaround gets her extra bonus, should get her a bonus point for style, I would argue. 2:12 to 156, just under a minute to go left in this game. Absolutely daft at the Jammer Star for the Galaxy Girls against Maya Massacre for I-5 Roller Girls. And I-5 again playing strong defense at the back. Maya Massacre knocked to the inside and recycled back as the Galaxy Girls try to regroup in the back. Still Elemental at the front trying to open a door for Absolutely Daft. Not able to before Maya Massacre finds a gap on the inside and dances over it to grab lead jammer. Absolutely Daft still struggling to get through on her first jam. Maya Massacre playing the slalom course route through the pack. Goes chest to chest with Misbehaving and knocks her out. 5-point pass for I-5. And Maya Massacre will call off the jam as time had run out on the game clock. And that is our unofficial final. 2:17 to 156.
Coming into this game, we knew it was going to be hard fought. We knew it was going to be a great game. It did not disappoint.
Did not at all. Coming up next on track 3 right here is the Rose City Rollers versus Treasure Valley. But meanwhile, I think it's safe, as soon as they finish screaming, to give a big high five and a big round of applause for your victorious I-5 Roller Girls.
And let's hear it for the Galaxy Girls. They put up a great fight.
And at some point, they'll break out of their packs and come get their high fives.